Hi, hello. Welcome to the episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is August the 22nd, 2024. Hopefully this episode finds you well, in good spirits and high hopes. As for me, I'm doing pretty good. Thursday was solid. It feels like we've caught up on the workload. Feels good for that. Didn't have any weird work confrontations, so that was nice. Though I will say I had to deal with the guy again, but I feel like we have now entered a state of symbiosis. You know, we're at that part in like the buddy cop movie where like, hey, we're gonna have to just get along to get along here, okay? So that's where we're at, and it works. So we're good. Essentially, the solution, it seems, is he's gonna come in and he's gonna want to kill the time that he wants to kill on my job, and they're gonna let him, and I have to be okay with that. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Well, I might as well use this to my advantage. So I will just now cover the spread. Like, okay, you want to come in here? You want to do the cardboard? Fine, I'll go do the trash, and then I'm gonna go poof, disappear. And this is where I really do like my job. You know, I've been here for a while, and I mean, I wouldn't say I have like a tenure, but I definitely know that I'm secure enough that I can be like, hey, I can kind of do that where I fuck off. You know, you guys have heard me before. I go play games on my phone or whatever, and I know that I'm secure in my job because like they know I'm going to get it done. So in this situation where I know someone wants to come and do my job, I think a younger me freaks out about it a little bit more because I feel like this person's trying to inch in on my work or potentially, downplay or denote my performance. But no, I just don't care about that because I know I'm good. I know I'm fine with it. It doesn't matter, even if that is the case, which I don't think it is. I think this person just wants to kill time in their own way, and this is how they want to do it. And it's like, all right, yeah, you can do my job. Fine. I'll just, once again, kind of be back with maintenance, just yucking it up. Who cares? So yeah, today was good. Today was solid for that. Love that for me. Let's see here. Food corner was hamburger, hot dogs, fries. Also had a samosa and a taquito, so that was good. Sadly, no bacon. I went to fry my last two pieces of bacon, and they were just so fatty and unappealing that I just scooped them up and threw them away. I just wasn't feeling it, you know? So that was a little bit of a bummer, a little bit of a leaner burger, if you will. But, it was good. It was fine. Like, I feel like I supplemented it with more sides. So, yeah, that was good. That was yummy. So, yeah, that's where we're at. Weird little, I guess, shout out to any of my friends who listen. Thanks for any and all people who've hit me up and talked to me, like, just weird or small, light conversations, big or small. Really appreciate that this month. I feel like I've mentally been in a bit of a weird one, a bit of a funky one. I even feel like maybe sometimes it bleeds out in the episodes in ways I don't really intend. Maybe I wind up yapping more than I should or usually do. I don't even say should. This is my podcast. I can do whatever I fucking want on here. But yeah, so just shout out to the people who have had good little conversations with me and stuff like that. I kind of kicked in for me last night, and I was talking to a friend, and I was like, damn, this is like really nice, and I really appreciate it. And I realized I'd had like several kind of conversations as my brain has kind of just been weirdly breaking and or processing life. I don't know, it's having one of those moments. Y'all know me, but I really do. Just like I said, just shout out to all the homies. Shout out to all the friends that are pretty much my family. This is a bit of an homage to them. If you're listening to this, thank you. Anyway, let me go ahead and do my startup, and we'll get into some news. Hopefully I don't keep you for 30 plus minutes again. I feel bad. I've established a norm here, and like, I'm listening to some podcasts, and like, motherfuckers think they're Joe Rogan or something, and they want to talk like an hour, and like, it's about good, important stuff. Like, I want to learn this history. I want to hear what's going on, but like, over an hour, that's crazy. And I feel like even over 30 minutes is wild, especially for what I'm doing. You know what I mean? 4 to 5 stories, like, so yeah, but here I am talking and going long. Anyway, let's go ahead and do the startup, and we'll get into it. All right. Our first story comes from CNN. Multiple suspects open fire in Baltimore mass shooting, leaving 1 dead and 7 injured. A gathering in East Baltimore burst into chaos Sunday night as multiple shooters opened fire, leaving a man dead and 7 other people wounded, police said. The shooting happened around 8 p.m. on the 1300 block of Spring Street, Baltimore. Police Commissioner Richard Worley told reporters. No other details were provided on the type of gathering or number of suspects. When police arrived, they found multiple victims with gunshot wounds who were taken to area hospitals, according to a police statement. Later, more victims walked into hospitals seeking treatment. Police on Monday identified the man who died as Anthony Martin, 36, who was pronounced dead at a hospital. The other victims, who were all listed in stable condition, were 1 woman, 41, and 6 males ranging in the age from 21 to 46. Tonight, Baltimore is grappling with the impacts of another mass shooting that has taken the life of 1 Baltimorean and irreparably changed several others. Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott said in a statement. It said that multiple firearms were found at the scene, prompting the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, I forget the explosive part, my bad, to offer their assistance in the investigation, Worley said. They are looking for anyone to submit anonymous tips through Crime Stoppers. But yeah, this and the next story that we're going to cover are just some shootings that have taken place that I really haven't gotten a chance to talk about this week. It's been a pretty busy news week, but granted, I feel like every news week kind of is. But I've said this before this year, like despite the fact that maybe I haven't covered as many shootings, it's not to denote that these are not happening. You know what I mean? I just think that they're kind of getting less oxygen in a year like this year. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to the next one. Excuse me. From WLWT5, suspect in shooting near Kentucky courthouse that killed 2, injured 1 has died. The suspect in Monday's triple shooting outside a courthouse in Kentucky that left 2 women dead and another man hospitalized has died. The suspect, Christopher Elder, 46, was in critical condition after suffering a gunshot wound, Elizabethtown police said. Elder died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound Monday night. One of the victims, 37-year-old Erica Riley of Elizabethtown, had attended a court hearing in Hardin County with Elder Monday morning before the shooting. The 2 had been in a relationship, Elizabethtown Police Chief Jeremy Thompson said. Riley's mother, 71, Janet Riley of Hardinsburg, was also shot and died after being transported to a hospital, police said in a media release Monday afternoon. The shooting occurred in a parking lot and Elder fled the scene afterwards, Thompson said. Elder's vehicle was located on a highway by police in western Kentucky, and he was pursued and stopped. The chief said police negotiators were speaking with Elder before he turned the gun on himself. The man who was shot was also related to Riley, Thompson said. He was in stable condition. His name has not been released. So yeah, a little bit of a double whammy there in terms of the shootings. I figured we just kind of bundle them up, talk about them, but I didn't want to forget them. I try not to bump the stories that I really do deem important, but at the same time, I know I've said this before that like there's just so many stories I wind up missing in the flow of each week. But I try to get in what I can. Our next story comes from The Guardian. U.S. hospital told family their daughter had checked out when in fact she died. This took my breath. Because imagine that this is your person, you're a family member, a friend, and one day they go into the hospital for an issue, like sure it's serious, but they're like, hey, I'm going to be getting out of this day, everything's cool, and the next thing you know, you go to the hospital, you talk to the hospital, they say no, they're gone, they left, when in fact they died. It's wild to me. This story just blew me out, dude. Okay, sorry. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Jesse Peterson's family spent a year searching for her after they were told that she had checked herself out of a California hospital against medical advice. Like, that's so fucking crazy. They did that shit before they learned that she had been dead all along. The 31-year-old died in the care of Mercy San Juan Medical Center in Sacramento in April of 2023. The hospital shipped her body to a storage facility and did not inform her mothers and sisters. The family only learned her fate the following April after months of trying to find her, according to a civil lawsuit against the hospital. In the lawsuit filed earlier this month, the family described the hospital's conduct as malicious and outrageous and accused the facility of negligence. The negligent handling of a corpse and negligent infliction of emotional distress. Now, maybe this isn't something that'd be like, oh man, I could totally see this as a movie, but I could see this as like some like docuseries, like drama style thing or something on like a Hulu or something, for sure. Because it just has all the beats, all the notes of just something where it's like, yeah, you could see yourself as like, hey, this is like my someone I know, like a family member, whatever. And then now you're on the street making flyers for them. Meanwhile, their body is literally like in some kind of cold pack on an offsite facility by the hospital. Like not even the coroners know where the coroners didn't even know where she was. It's crazy, dude. It's so insane. Mercy San Juan Hospital failed in its most fundamental duty to notify Jesse's family of her death, the lawsuit states. Mercy San Juan stored Jessie in an off-site warehouse morgue, and she was left there to decompose for nearly a year while her family relentlessly inquired about her whereabouts. She had went in for a type 1 diabetic episode, and like I said, she had been in contact with the family saying like, hey, like I think I'm going to be getting out of this day, whatever. So then they call and check in on her, and they're like, oh, she left against, what our better judgment. We said, hey, you shouldn't go, but she left. She's gone. And it's like, no, she's gone from this world. You mean she's dead? So it's crazy that they just tried to sweep this under the rug. Actually, I found the thing. Let me just go ahead and read it. Peterson, whom her family described in the lawsuit as loving and energetic, had type 1 diabetes. She was experiencing a diabetic episode when she was admitted to Mercy San Juan on April 6, 2023. Her mother, Ginger Kanji, stated that Peterson had called her 2 days later asking for a ride because she would be leaving the hospital, according to the lawsuit. Kanji was later told that Peterson had left the hospital against medical advice, and her medical records indicate that she was discharged on April 8th. Like, that's the commitment by the hospital to this dark bit. It's insane to me. Now, I believe that they are asking for $5 million. Even that number doesn't seem high enough. I feel like they should at least double that for this kind of shit. Maybe I'm crazy or being overly emotional here, but once again, if that's your person, like, imagine that's how you die and like, you're leaving that for your family. That's not how you'd want to go. Like, that's not how that was supposed to go. It's insane to me. So I don't think that number is high enough, but I mean, we'll see. I hope they get something, because I would think that this hospital would want to fucking settle. More or less, they just said, "Oh, so sorry, we're so sorry." Even though, like, I believe this family had to hire like a private investigator to wind up figuring out, "Oh, yeah, we figured out that your daughter, your family member, has been found in this off-site facility by the hospital." Like, that's wild. And this is a dark part to mention, but it's important. Her body was so decomposed, the family could not obtain her fingerprints or hold an open casket funeral. And an autopsy that could have identified or indicated whether there had been medical malpractice associated with her death was rendered impossible, according to the lawsuit, which I'm sure is not something that's lost on the hospital. Some higher up, someone knew about this shit and said, yeah, that's how we should handle that. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I'm sure there's no paperwork to prove that. I just find it impossible that this person just fell through the cracks, because some kind of performance was done for the family to say, oh, sorry, no, she's gone, she's been discharged against our better judgment. So yeah, like I said, man, this literally blew me out. As a person who's lost family members, it's devastating enough to go through that process in the normal vanilla style that is death and loss and all that kind of fucking shit. I hate hospitals. I fucking hate them. But this in me just is like, oh my God, dude, like, this is a fate worse than death, than any of this. Like, to have a hospital play with your loved one's body for whatever fucking reason is insane to me. But yeah, love that. Only in America, baby. Fuck yeah, dude. Anyway, let's move on to our last bit. I said I wasn't gonna go long, and you know me. I'm creeping. I'm creeping and I'm lurking real slow. Uh, this is our last story for the day. In typical fashion, we are gonna do DNC day 3 coverage. I realize like I'm having like a brain problem, schism, whatever. I think I was something was in my mouth. Sorry, a little popcorn kernel. I've been like, I'm like, what day is it? Like, what DNC day is it? Because we're doing day 4. The last day is tonight, but we're not doing coverage till tomorrow. So let's talk day 3. Let's talk what happened last night a little bit, do a little coverage, and then we'll go ahead and close it out. So let's take our last break and we'll finish it up. Ooh. Okay. From the Associated Press. Walz night, Bill Clinton's dig at Trump, influencers flexing clout, DNC day 3 takeaways. The Democratic National Convention's third night showcased a familiar former president, Bill Clinton, who apparently they've been calling Big Dog. Have you ever called Bill Clinton Big Dog? I can see Big Willie. That makes sense to me. I've never in my life ever heard or wanted to call Bill Clinton Big Dog. I'm sorry. And I gotta say, on the Bill Clinton part, I heard him speak, like I heard a clip, and I think I mentioned this on the podcast. I kind of thought that it would make more sense to have, I don't know, a winning Clinton do a speech as opposed to a losing one. But I then got that wish, and he talked, and I cringed, and I winced, and I said, "This is why I shouldn't be in politics. This doesn't sound good. I don't fuck with this." But it makes sense. It did make sense. You know, he poked his little jabs at Trump. He's like, "I'm actually younger than him." Cool, man. You sound like shit. Please. And he's like, "This might be one of my last ones," which you always hate, dude. You just always hate, man. And this is back to my the Jesse Jackson thing, I'm sorry, where it's just like you just hate seeing the old guys who, like, I was a kid seeing them on the screen like, what are these guys doing? No, that's a politician, that's a yada yada activist, whatever. And it's like now I'm seeing them in their elder pre-death state, and I'm just like, oh gosh, I'm getting old. Now I'm talking about them on a pot. Like I pay taxes now. It's gross. It's weird. I don't like it. It clashes with my sensibilities. But let's get to this Walz. Let's get to the Walz and remember. And I gotta say, man, I underestimated Walz. I think that he's a better pick than even I thought. And I think I'm saying this as a Midwesterner. And I think that's a very important thing to highlight. I was talking to a coworker about this today. Walz, with his background as a former teacher and football coach, used his speech to put a small-town spin on the Democrats' agenda of protecting individuals' freedoms and rejecting what they paint as the intrusive policies of the Republican Donald Trump. And it's so weird how, like, he has, like, this, like, almost conservative twang or cadence or timbre to him, but, like, it is very much Democratic. Sometimes you could even say, like, damn near, like, you're getting a little socialist, buddy. Like, what, you read the book, brother? Like, and it's like, oh, I actually like this guy. Like, I dig it. And, like, the idea that, like, he puts this, like, football fourth quarter spin on what's going on. Like, I've heard that before. We've all seen some Friday Night Lights, or we've lived that. You know what I mean? Like, you can beat into that and it makes sense. Meanwhile, you just don't have conservatives doing that. Yeah, like JD Vance talking about cat ladies failing to order, like, Philly cheesesteaks and shit. And it's just like, this dude is weirdly refreshing, and maybe this is me buying the fucking gimmick, but fine. The gimmick is working. It just seems to be more effective than what I'm at least hearing from the conservative end right now, you know, from Trumpville. I will say I'm shoving in some random news here because I haven't heard RFK do it, but it's at least rumored that RFK is gonna drop out, and I say, fucking thank God, you croak fucking throated motherfucker. Just get out of here. But it does look like he's going to endorse Trump, but we'll see. You know, I might give a follow-up update there, but I'm just shoehorning that in there. But I thought Walz's speech was good, getting back to that. Also adding Oprah Winfrey came out. It was the very star-studded portion of the DNC, which makes sense. I feel like, the whole adage of like, oh, liberals, all the Hollywood elites and all that stuff. I mean, yeah, I feel like there are like the celebrities that I feel like people like or have a bigger, audience or like whatever. They do tend to be like, liberal. It makes sense. I don't know. Like, I always consider George Clooney a liberal guy. He's always been a liberal guy, like his movies, whatever. That makes sense. That adds up to me. But at this point, though, you can find people on both sides of the fence. Weirdly noting, reading Amber Rose or seeing Amber Rose make an aside because she's made this like Republican griff shift, like, and it's like, oh, cool. I love that you're conservative now, and now she's like talking shit about Kamala Harris. It's a weird timeline, but hey, that's the world we live in. Celebrities can kind of hop all over the map. But yeah, Oprah Winfrey, she came out to talk. Kenan Thompson, I wanted to mention, he came out to speak as well, highlighting some stuff out of like Project 2025, stuff that like Republicans are trying to play down. They're like, oh, we didn't mean that. We're not talking about that. We're not doing that. But like, it's like you guys have outlined a whole thing. And like I've mentioned that Trump has even referenced this stuff without referencing it while he's like talking to Elon Musk on the Perfect Space call. So it's like, dude, like, no, these are relevant things. And I like that celebrities are coming out and saying, hey, like, this is something to think about. This is something to talk about, because it works. Like when you hear Stevie Wonder do a super dynamite performance and then also do a little speech, that helps. I do think it's good, but I also get that like, oh, like this is also kind of part, I keep mentioning this, that cupcake super sweet nausea that you get where it's just like, this just feels like it's kind of like, sugarcoating a really bad pill. Another thing I guess I wanted to mention though, they did bring in some families who have hostages in Gaza. So that was a bit of a Jewish perspective. But I think another thing that's worth noting here, because that's something that happened in both the Democratic convention and the Republican convention, to their own slants and bents, of course. But something that's worth noting specifically in the Democratic convention is, I mentioned this before, there are unconfirmed delegates that are unconfirmed because of the Muslim population that are like, hey, we have problems with what the Biden administration, now Harris administration, whatever you want to fucking call it, are doing right now, what we're supporting. And it's like, you're literally hearing stories of people who are like, how is it that like we have real delegates, real people, speakers that should be up and having a chance to talk right now? They are Democratic. They are a part of this party. They should have a voice right now. And they are getting shunned. They are getting just literally swept under the rug. And I think that's a really bad move, because that's something that gets noted. It gets talked about. Obviously, I'm a small bean-ass podcast. I know nobody fucking listens to me. But that is something that I'm hearing, right? Like, the internet moves, motherfuckers. Like, you are going to lose places that are going to wind up key spots if you don't actually at least say something that's going to say, hey, this is a part of our policy that's actually going to save some lives. But, like, they won't do that because it goes against, say, hey, backing fucking Israel to the fucking hilt and saying, hey, yeah, we're fine with you doing a genocide. We won't even call it a genocide. It's cool, dude. We're backing you. We're allies, dude. Brothers to the end. Woo, dude. Put that shit on a pen and sell it. Anyway, so, I mean, I feel like that's the coverage I wanted to do for the DNC Day 3. There were some influencers as well. So, yeah, I mean, star-studded in every sense of the word. But, yeah, I mean, that's where we're at. We got one more day of this shit. Kamala is going to speak on it. So, I'll be here tomorrow to probably close it out there in that way. Oh, dude, I'm loving that. We're looking at the clock. It looks good. It looks great. I'm gonna close it out there, baby dolls. If you'd like to help out, support the effort, you can. Patreon.com. So the Zanus really just helps out. I more or less call this a tip jar, but you do get a shout out. I do call you a newsie. You get dubbed. You know what I mean? Like as if I'm the a king of some sorts. I dub thee a newsie. You spread the gospel that is the news. Fuck. But yeah, just supposed to have a really, it makes my day. That's for sure. Put the smile on my face. But yeah, 3 ways to hit me up. IsaiahNews1@gmail.com. Feel free to follow me or the podcast or interact on any of the socials. It's a digital wonderland out there, and I'm in it. So yeah, also, if you could subscribe to the YouTube, really helps out a lot. Trying to get that number up. I got a burp. I don't think it's going to come out. hopefully leave a like as well, a cool comment as well, and sharing is caring. It can be fun. Try it out or don't. It's fine. I really, once again, I don't say this enough. I know I love you guys for just listening. Like, the fact that I tune in, and at least on one of these motherfucking platforms, one of these motherfucking godforsaken apps, I know that there's someone out there that at least viewed 5 seconds of this shit and said, okay, I love this guy. I'm going to keep him on. I'm not going to unfollow. And that really helps. Like I said, when I go through the mental doldrums that I go through here, it really is something to know that, like, my passion, that even though it's a nothing burger of a thing, I'm not sitting at the table alone, So thank you so much for that. I love you for that. And thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks so much for being a friend. And hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love you. Bye-bye. Mwah.